السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Welcome everyone to the first lesson of Al-Aajurrumiyyah, which is a grammar text. And how these classes will go, hopefully you can follow along on these YouTube lessons, is that we will take a small portion of the text. I will have the brother Zakaria that is with us. He will read a text and then I will explain it to him and use the drawing board to draw whatever notes you need to take in order to understand this text, inshallah ta'ala. Zakaria,
نعم.
could you please, barakallahu feek, read the first line of the text, inshallah.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قال المصنف رحمه الله: الكلام هو اللفظ المركب المفيد بالوضع.
Barakallahu feek. So, before we begin exactly what the author said, and we will explain that and we'll write it down, first we need to know who the author was. Who the author was. So we say the name of the author is known by Abu Abdullah Muhammad ibn Muhammad ibn Dawood, and then where he's from, Sonhaji. Sonhaji. Yani huwa ma'ruf, he is known by the kunya Ibn Ajurrum. That's what he is known by. That is what he is known by. He was from a town called Fez. Everyone knows where Fez is in Morocco. He was a alim, a scholar of the Arabic language. Scholar of the Arabic language. And they say he wrote this, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best, when he made a trip to Mecca, and he wrote this in front of the Kaaba, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. He was born in the year 674 Hijri, and he died in the year 723 Hijri, rahimahullah ta'ala. This matan, or this book, it explains the basics of grammar, of what a student of knowledge or beginner student of knowledge, or anyone seeking to further their studies in Arabic about grammar. So it's a good text that is taught by many shuyukh, many ulama around the world. So that being said, inshallah, if you can write those down, memorize a few points here about Ibn Ajurrum, inshallah ta'ala. We'll go straight to the text, bi'idhnillah. And as our brother Zakaria read, he said, قال المؤلف رحمه الله, the author, he said, الكلام واللفظ المركب المفيد بالوضع بالوضع. So first, Nahu in Arabic is made up of kalam, So here the author rahimahullah, he defines exactly what kalam is. So he says huwa, it is. And here he mentions four parts of exactly what kalam is. So the first part he says huwa lafz, huwa lafdhun. Lafdhun yani it means, so we're going to take this and we're going to define it now. Lafz is yani النطق. النطق, which means spoken باللسان. باللسان. So this means in English, it's spoken. It has to be a spoken word. Or it has to be, kalam has to be spoken. Words that are spoken. So things like yani ishara. Ishara is pointing. Is not considered according to the grammarians. Now all these definitions here are according to Nahu. These are mustalahat, terminologies that the scholars of grammar use. So we're not talking about scholars of fiqh. We're not talking about scholars of hadith. None of that. So here he's saying al-kalamu for the scholars of grammar, huwa lafdhu. It is yani an-nutq bil-lisan. It is something that is spoken. So things that are like pointing, ishara, is not considered kalam in according to the scholars of grammar. Even though pointing or even nodding your head in agreement, yes, in the Sharia, it is taken as kalam, right? And likewise, yani, if I write something on a contract, that is kalam in the Sharia. But with the scholars of grammar, that is not kalam. Anything written or pointed or any kind of gestures that are made is not considered kalam with the scholars of grammar. We're talking about grammar only because they define it as it has to be al-lafdhu. So it has to be spoken. The second thing he mentions about kalam here is al-murakkabu. So al-lafdhu al-murakkabu. Now he mentions يعني murakkab. What is murakkab? يعني it is يتركب, that whatever you're saying, and I will translate all of these. So يتركب يعني من كلمتين أو أكثر or فأكثر. And here's the important part. ولو تقديرا. ولو تقديرا. What does this all mean? يتركب يعني it is made up of or it is combined من كلمتين فأكثر. So it is 2 words or more. ولو تقديرا, even if hidden. يعني meaning the meaning is hidden. We're going to explain all of this, so don't worry. What does this mean? This means that, as we said, it has to be a lafz. It has to be a spoken word. Then it has to be al-murakkabu. It has to be 2 or more words. 2 or more words. So, for example, if I just say Zaydun, Zaydun, it's a spoken word. I said Zaydun, but it is not 2 or more words. It doesn't make sense. It's not 2 or more words, so therefore it's not considered kalam. But if I say قام زيد, قام زيد, now it is 2 or more words. 1 word here, the second word here. It means Zayd stood. قام زيد. Now this word is kalam. لماذا? It's murakkab, and it is also lafz. It is spoken and it is combined. 2 or more words that are combined together, joined together. Bil isnad, it makes sense and is joined together. Okay. Now, what is meant here by even if it is hidden, even if the meaning is hidden? Because in Arabic language, when you, like, for example, if you command somebody, like here, if we're looking at Zayd and we say, qum, stand. That's all we need to say, stand. This is considered kalam in the Arabic language. Why is it considered kalam in the Arabic language? Because Zayd is hidden. You don't need to mention Zayd. It's hidden. But it is understood that you're talking to Zayd, so it is considered 2 or more words. Hope that makes sense. We'll keep it very simple, inshallah, and move on. So far we have, from the 4 things the author mentioned, he mentioned al-kalamu huwa al-lafdhu al-murakkabu, that it is a spoken word, and also al-murakkabu يعني يتركب من كلمتين فأكثر ولو تقديرا, that it is 2 or more words bil-isnad, that are joined together, meaning in a sentence, even if the meaning is hidden. Like as if you say qum, it's understood that you're talking to somebody, so therefore it is considered 2 or more words. Then the next thing he mentions is al-mufid. Al-mufid. So what is al-mufid? Al-mufid is, in Arabic we say ما أفاد السامع بحيث لا يتشوف بعده إلى غيره. What does this mean in English? It is whatever is beneficial to the listener, and he is not looking forward to more meaning or more words. So, in summary, it has to make sense to the listener. It has to make sense to the listener. It has to be beneficial for the one who's listening, to where when you're finished saying what you're saying, 2 words or more, and it's spoken, the listener is not looking for more information for it to make sense. Meaning, in the Arabic language. So once again, al-lafdhu, it is spoken. Al-murakkabu, it consists of 2 or more words, even if the meaning is hidden. Al-mufidu, it makes sense to the listener. What that means is that if you say, for example, Yani, as we gave that example down here, if we were just to say Zaydun, the listener would be like, this makes no sense. But if we were to say Qama Zaydun, Zayd stood up, right? Then that is a complete sentence. It makes sense to the listener. So it is a complete sentence, you could say, that makes sense. Then here, the last thing he mentioned, the author mentioned, was bil wad'i. Bil wad'i. Bil wad'i. And what is meant by bil wad'i? Yani bil lugha al-Arabiyyah. Right? باللغة العربية. What is باللغة العربية? يعني it has to be in Arabic. Because these rules of Nahu are not for the Spanish language, for the English language, for the Albanian language, for Urdu, for any of that. We are only talking about the Arabic language here. So these are the 4 components that make up of kalam. That kalam is made up of. قال المؤلف رحمه الله الكلام هو اللفظ المركب المفيد بالوضع. That it is, kalam is lafz, it is spoken, المركب, it consists of 2 or more words, المفيد, yani it makes sense to the listener, it's a complete sentence, بالوضع, in the Arabic language. So these 4 things is what makes up kalam according to the Nahu scholars. According to the Nahu scholars, the scholars of the Arabic language. Zakaria?
نعم.
Barakallahu feek. Can you read the next line? وَأَقْسَامُهُ
وأقسامه 3 اسم وفعل وحرف جاء لمعنى.
Barakallahu feek. Barakallahu feek. So the next part, he says, وأقسامه 3. طيب, so next part he says وأقسامه 3 اسم وفعل وحرف جاء لمعنى. So what does he mean here? The translation would be, and it has 3 parts. وأقسامه, and its parts are 3, or it has 3 parts, meaning kalam. In the Arabic language is divided into these 3 parts. What does that mean? Anything you read in Arabic, anything. Whether it's Quran, whether it's Hadith, if you read it in Arabic, every word that you are reading is one of these 3 categories. If you stop on a word, either it is ism, or it is a fi'l, or it is a harf. One of those 3. And for that, inshallah ta'ala, we'll stop here to make it easier on the listeners. If you can, study this first part, master it, then we'll move on into explaining how the author explained what an ism is, what a fi'l is, and what a harf is. And we'll take it from there, inshallah ta'ala. Jazakallahu khairan, Zakaria, for reading and for writing these notes. May Allah bless you in your seeking ilm, and all of the ones who tune in as well. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.